Good morning and welcome once again to the Wellness Connection with Dr. McMinn. This is Dr. James McMinn. I'm here as usual with our moderator, Misty Walraven. Misty, how you doing this morning?
Hey everybody, how's it going?
All right. Well, we're here this morning to talk about sleep. Everybody get a good night's sleep last night? I hope so. We're going to try to talk about sleep deprivation and give you some tips on how to get a better night's sleep. Hopefully at the end of this we'll all come out with a better understanding of how sleep affects us and how to get a better night's sleep. But before we get going, let me tell you just a little bit about myself. I have an integrated medical practice in Homewood, Alabama called McMinn Clinic, where we practice world-class integrative medicine. I'm a residency-trained and board-certified MD physician. I'm also currently on the faculty at UAB School of Medicine. So anyway, we're going to talk about sleep today, and you know, Misty, it's a very personal thing with me, this whole sleep thing. I was an ER doc for 20 years, and I think that the scheduling gods were against me. I think I worked more than my share of night shifts. I think you've worked a few night shifts in the ER, haven't you, Misty?
I have worked a few in the ER.
I was passing by Grady Hospital the other day, Misty, thinking about you, and thinking about that must have been a crazy place.
I'm
night
so
shifts.
thankful I don't have to work there anymore. Thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, people would always say to me, "Well, Jim, you look tired today." Well, duh, I've been up all night. So it seems like day shift people just can't understand night shift people, and vice versa. So anyway, I think I put up with that for 20 years, once again a long time, and finally I realized that I was taking years off my life, and that sleep was really one of Mother Nature's most potent medicines. And so shortly thereafter I kind of weaned myself off the ER and kind of went into just the opposite of a wellness practice.
Well, my mother used to tell me I was going to sleep my life away, so I guess we're kind of the opposite.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, Misty, too. I think just like ex-smokers are sometimes the most righteous people about smoking. I, too, who worked many night shifts, I'm probably big time on the bandwagon with sleep hygiene and all that kind of stuff and getting a good night's sleep. So anyway, once again, I take it personally. It's been a big part of my life, and I see it every day in the office. People come in, and so many times they have this, that, and the other, but when you get right down to it, and look for that underlying cause, like I always do. Sleep is often at the root of it. But I think it's interesting, Misty, how I think over time we, as a society, as a human race, almost have really kind of gotten out of the habit of a good night's sleep. I think in the old days, for millions of years, we were in tune with the circadian rhythms of the earth. When the sun went down, it got dark. This kind of triggered our brains to sort of create more melatonin, and our cortisol levels would go down, and we all became sleepy. But
now there's too much entertainment, too many things going on. Can't turn your brain off when you try to lay down and go to sleep.
That's right. We got the electric light bulbs. We got the TV. But I think probably what's more significant these days is the computer. People get at least the TV is somewhat passive. The computer, yeah. Well, you've got that light from the computer. It's an active light, and it comes right in your eyes. It gets your brain all stimulated. The things that stimulate the brain the most are, of course, anytime you see movement and anytime you see that light. And of course, once we get that brain stimulated, it's really hard for our bodies to shut off.
Yeah, I'm guilty of using the computer more than a few hours at night myself. And
you've had a little bit of insomnia in your years, haven't you?
I have. I have, and it makes me so ill and so tired.
Well, I've been noticing that, Misty, but
thanks
I wasn't going to mention it. But since you mentioned it, but yeah, our brains and bodies just can't distinguish that daylight and the electric light from true daylight, so they just can't shut down. So
I just have a hard time turning my brain off. I think of things. I'll be laying down, about to go to sleep, and I'll think of something I needed to do in the house or at work or for for something, and I'll get up and do it, and then all of a sudden the whole cycle, it's a vicious cycle, it starts. I'm awake again.
Yeah. And then of course you're sleepy all day and want to take a nap, and it's a vicious, as you say, a vicious cycle. But there's so many things that are caused by sleep. So many diseases and problems, fatigue, irritability, all those kind of things. I often look at sleep as what I call the first domino to fall. Because sometimes, it's because of sleep, then we're fatigued, and that makes us irritable, and blah, 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 and that one thing leads to another. So often you got to go back to that first domino, and that's often sleep.
So would you say, America as a society, it's a pretty big problem, you think?
Oh, it's huge, Misty. Something along the lines of 60 million Americans suffer from insomnia. It's really a big problem. And once again, you look at all the repercussions of that, it's tremendous. And so I think there, too, we have to take an active approach. If we really don't get after it and try to fix the problem, then it's just not going to get better.
So what is your diagnosis for insomnia? I mean, is it like something you have to happen over and over again, or is it just an infrequent night where you don't sleep well, or how would you define or diagnose insomnia?
Well, boy, that's a tough one, Misty. I think it, for the most part, yeah, people, it seems to be repetitive and kind of happens over and over again. We certainly all can have an occasional night's sleep, but that's not usually what gets us physiologically over and over.
Like me, irritable.
Yeah,
and
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So anyway, there's a big debate, Misty, about why we need sleep, and I think the scientists really haven't uncovered that. But it's really interesting if you add it all up in terms of the amount of time we sleep. We sleep about 25 years of our life, sacked out in the bed.
Wow.
It
for
seems like
someone like me, it's more like 35.
Yeah. It seems like a waste of time, doesn't it?
It does, but it's so absolutely necessary, is it not?
That's right, but we know absolutely without a doubt that it's essential for physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and even for life itself. You cannot survive if you don't sleep. They've done all kind of interesting studies on that, and often you'll find, of course, the medical students are the guinea pigs, but they find that definitely that sleep deprivation will definitely get them.
Well, I always use the excuse that I'm getting my beauty rest.
Oh, right.
Is there anything actually to the beauty rest thing?
Well, I think there is. I think
Anti-aging?
certainly if you don't get that sleep, it will definitely get you and make you look different there.
So, aside from the Misty syndrome, we'll call it, the tired and grumpiness during the day, what are some of the other repercussions of poor sleep?
There's all sorts of repercussions, Misty. Certainly, I'd say fatigue is one of the most common ones, and I see fatigue patients all day long.
Yeah.
And certainly, you've got to get a good night's sleep, or you'll never get over your fatigue. But certainly, it actually has a big impact on obesity, and women especially who can't lose weight. You've got to get back and get them a good night's sleep. Depression, ADD, other mental illnesses, autoimmune diseases, high blood pressure, arthritis, fibromyalgia, heartburn, chronic pain syndromes, headaches, decreased sex drive, increased risk for diabetes, and then you look at the societal issues of car accidents, industrial accidents, lost jobs and failed marriages. It's a big, big, big deal. In fact, I read a book recently. They're talking about people with fatigue and fibro, how you hardly ever find somebody with fibromyalgia who doesn't also have sleep deprivation. So it's a big problem.
Yeah, I have actually, I hate to admit this, and thank goodness I didn't cause an accident, but I have actually fallen asleep behind the wheel before.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I knock on wood, I haven't actually fallen asleep, but I remember I used to get off the night shifts in the ER, and I'd have about an hour and a half drive home, and oh my God, it was so hard staying awake.
Yeah.
And think about all the cars that are coming down those roads the other way, and
truck drivers.
Right, the truck drivers, absolutely. So it's a huge problem in our society.
So what do you think are some of the causes of poor sleep?
Well, the causes are many, but I think certainly in our society, with all our deadlines and jobs, and just it seems like everybody's so stressed out these days. So just worry is a big problem. It's that racing mind. We have so much trouble just shutting the mind off.
I know another thing too. A partner.
Yeah,
snoring
partner.
partner.
That's a big one.
Another
every now and then I have to advise people to sleep in another room or sleep on the couch, or kick the partner out, and make them sleep on the couch. But going through that to-do list in our minds, anxiety, difficulty breathing, like asthma, lung disease, pain syndromes. Sometimes people can't sleep because they're hurting here and there. Depression, reflux. A lot of people, they lay down to go to sleep and they'll get that reflux going. Yeah, and sleep apnea. We'll talk more about sleep apnea in a little bit. Restless leg syndrome is another one. And of course, hormone imbalance. I see a lot of women as they grow older and they start going through that perimenopause, which can happen 15 years before menopause. They will often get that difficulty going to sleep because of low progesterone, and difficulty staying asleep because of low estrogen. So all those things can cause sleep problems.
So tell me a little bit more about what sleep hygiene is.
Well, sleep hygiene is basically the concept of setting the conditions right for a good night's sleep. And that can be many different things you can do, and we'll kind of go through a list of things. And by the way, I'm going to put together a blog on this whole sleep issue that we're going to post. And Misty, tell people where people can find that blog.
Well, you can go actually to the McMinn Clinic website. That's just McMinnClinic.com. You can go on our Facebook page under discussions. There are several other blogs that are on there. And we also have a blog thing on Blogspot under the Wellness Connection.
So anyway, we're going to talk more in depth about this, but I do want folks to know that if they want to find out more about it, they can go to those and look at the blog, and we'll try to have all these things listed for you. So we're going to come back on the other side, and we're going to talk about some of the things we can do vis-a-vis sleep hygiene to get people a better night's sleep.